All right, guys. Welcome to Rant and Chill. Tonight's stream, and this stream that you're listening to now, if it's after the fact, is just a very NEMOPHILA chill fan talk stream. Very simple premise. I have here Mr. Alan Moj. Moj, is that how you say it? Moj?
That'll work.
I don't want to pass. I don't want a participation trophy. I want to know how it's really pronounced. Is it Moj?
We'll just say Moj, yeah.
Moj.
Yeah.
Because you're not a Moj. Okay, you're a Moj. Gotcha. All right.
It comes from my last name, which is pronounced not how it's spelled. So just
Oh.
There you go.
All right, pronounced not how it's spelled. Okay. Moj.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'll remember that. I'm pretty bad with names, which is like a bad thing to have when you're running a channel where you're talking about Japanese bands. There's really not a name I could really pronounce right, except for a few, like Saki. I can pronounce her right, I think. Mayu.
I'm never really sure with that, to be honest.
Oh, it's not Saki?
Well, I think it is, but I just, for some reason, I get a block on it. It's like, is it Saki? Is it Saki?
Saki. Oh, man, can't get that right. Okay, what about Tamu?
I don't know.
I mean, if I can't pronounce the 4-letter names right, what about Haraguchi's son?
See, now she spells it son on her Instagram.
Yeah,
I think deliberately because it's not San, but that's how it's spelled. So there you go.
Yeah.
More confusion.
And of course, you're here because you are a huge Baby Metal fan. Wait, sorry. Well, I think you are a huge NEMOPHILA fan. My bad. Wrong stream note. My bad. I promised I had not been drinking. I said I was going to not have any beers this weekend, and my rum jar disappeared. I can't explain how that happened. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, man. So briefly, I know you said earlier pre-stream that you're just a fan. You started the fan group on Facebook, whatever, and all that. But don't humble yourself, okay? If there's anything you want to say, feel free. Who are you, and is there anything you do that you wish to promote or anything like that?
Well, I'm just a guy. I do network engineering as a job. I've been doing it for a very long time.
Okay.
I can secure you. So I've been familiar with social media. I'm from Silicon Valley, so I know it doesn't sound like I'm from Silicon Valley, but that's where I live. Was in social media before it was a thing, and as for following this stuff around on there has been interesting and a very long experience. You're right. I started the NEMOPHILA Fans Worldwide Facebook group. The reason for that was, well, there wasn't one, and they had their first online live. I nearly missed it. I only found out from another group where it was sort of a side mention that they were doing this thing. So I had to madly run around and find out where it was, sign up for, I think it was Zyco, and make sure everything worked and get on there. I got there for about 5 minutes before they started, and I'm very glad I did. But I figured, well, if we start a group, then we can information share, and then hopefully I won't miss one again. That was 3 years ago. We're now up to 5,300 members. It's pretty quiet. We try and keep it chill. You'll probably love the fact that we don't allow reaction videos because initially it would have only been reaction videos.
Right,
so
right.
Like 2 or 3 videos, right? So it was never anything personal, but it stayed that way. We also don't allow pictures that don't have a link, because what we found very early on is if you put a link of say Haraguchi-san, just there's a picture there and nothing else, then you get like 100 comments of, isn't she gorgeous? Oh, I love her, etc., etc., which is just completely pointless drivel. And the action of a link to it actually makes people not do that, which is, I have no idea how that works, but it does. So.
Interesting. Just so posting a link prevents people from fanboying a little too much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
was just gonna say, I understand where that comes from, and some people might go overboard as far as the fanboying. I hear that at times. It's like, hey guys, come on, let's not do that. We're not a bunch of fangirls over here looking at a boy band, okay? All right.
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah. it kind of got to me that we're in this for the music, and
Yes.
people can point fingers and say, "Hey, you're watching bands," because I'm not a young man, and I'm watching bands who are Chinese, sorry,
Yeah.
Japanese women and Chinese women and Korean women in their 20s and 30s, right? So yeah, you can get stigmatized by that, and so I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to keep as clear from away from that as we could. It seemed to work, so pretty
Well,
happy with the group. It's quiet, low maintenance.
yeah. I mean, that's a good way to go about it. You're right. I mean, it could. I get that people are going to make those sort of comments. I get that sometimes too with, like, let's say, love bites. Every now and then it's kind of like, hey, it's like, I understand. Yeah, the legs. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But all right, let's move. Let's focus on the music. That's why even on the reactions I do, it's like, well, yeah, we all noticed the angle, guys. Okay, all right, but let's talk. Let's be professional here. Okay, I try to balance it a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah. So it's cool to run a group like that. You got to keep it professional. You definitely want to keep, you don't want to just be saturated with reactors or things like that. Hell, the other day I posted, but it was like I wanted to keep it on the down low. I didn't want to say, hey, I am whatever, because I don't like doing that. I don't even like do that in public. When I went to the Baby Metal show and I was talking with people, I did not even mention anything about like a channel or anything like. I just want to talk. I just want to hang out. Okay, I didn't want to be like, oh, hey, I'm somebody, whatever. It's like, it's not even about that. It's just, I just want to hang out and enjoy the moment.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Just be real.
Yeah, and I've seen reactors and other channel what do you call them, hosts, I guess, at some of the shows, and mostly they're pretty chill. Some of them online, the ones that don't venture out into the real world, seem less so. Um, I've basically kicked posts and then had the owner of the post come back and start yelling and screaming and telling me I'm doing it all wrong, etc.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, sorry, they're the rules.
yeah.
Somebody started their own group based on the fact that I kept kicking his post that had no link, right? And
Okay.
he's like, yeah, we're going to be much more popular. Just you watch. And I think they've got 800 members now.
Oh, okay. I mean, they
That was
they do what they
3 years
do.
ago.
But now, so how did you said it's been like 3 years ago that you got into NEMOPHILA, right?
Yep.
All right, all right. Now, was there? I know you explained briefly about your story as to how, and then you're trying to catch that to see the live show. Is it right? They catch a live stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
their first live stream.
Okay. Was there some sort of build up before that? Like, were you familiar with another act that was kind of like adjacent to them? Maybe like another
Well,
Destros act.
another Destro Zach. Um, I'm being familiar with all the early acts. One of them is Mary's Blood, right? Mary's Blood.
Mary's Blood, yeah.
Saki was a member.
Asaki, yeah.
Saki was a member of Mary's Blood for the longest time. A lot of their music is hers, and I was very into the Confessions album, and I think that's probably why I got the YouTube recommendation. Hey, go watch this, which was the Trooper video that they did. We'll get on to covers in a bit, but
Mhm.
I watched it. I was like, that's interesting. I didn't really think about much more of it. I mean, I'm not a huge Maiden fan. I was a Maiden fan, like I say, the first time round, which would make them really happy, I'm sure. But it showed what they could do. It showed that they were certainly a talented bunch of girls, and obviously,
Yeah.
I know Saki is. I was really surprised to see Hazuki because Hazuki was in Disclosure, and I have one of their albums. It's like a mini album, which I like a lot. Um, and then there was Tamu, and Tamu had been in. She'd done some stuff with, was it Ladybeard, Lady Baby or something? And Sorry.
She had some. Man, she was in a group before. I wasn't sure it was Lady Bear. I did a video on her too.
There was Soramini, I think. Soramini.
Tamu.
Um,
I thought it was like Tamu Muru or something like that. Oh, what's it called?
yeah, I know, but I'd seen her in videos around, so she was a familiar face, and she's an absolutely excellent drummer, so couldn't really miss that. And then because I'd seen that on my feed a little while later was the Iran Studio Live, which I was sold instantly, just completely instantly from Mary's Blood. I'd been into, still am, a very big fan of Audius.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, you were right. Sora Mimi. That was the band. That was the former band.
Yeah.
I
I don't know any of their stuff. Just know that she was. But yeah, so along the lines of this was, and also Love Bites came a little bit before then, and obviously Bandmate as well. Bandmate is a huge band. I've seen them 4 times now, I guess. Um, and so hearing this, it was like, all right, this is what's been kind of missing a bit. And it was just love at first listen, I guess. Also, their attitude. So their attitude in the studio was they were having a good time. They were doing silly things. They were.
Yeah, they definitely are.
They would clearly enjoy themselves, and that's very attractive. It's like if somebody's really good at something and they're passionate about it, that's attractive. But if somebody's doing something and they thoroughly enjoy it, that is also incredibly attractive as well. So couldn't wait to hear what I had next. But as I mentioned earlier, watching Haraguchi-san, her reaction to my screaming in there, it's like you could see on her face like that noise is coming out of my mate. That's crazy, and she's laughing away. It was just wonderful to watch. So
it is true. That is true. I think if you look at it, I think she smiles brightly whenever Mayu is screaming, or when someone lays down a good track or does a solo or something. Her and Tamu, they like smile, and they smile for days, and it's so great.
Yeah, totally. It just something you want to watch, and remember that this was just pre-pandemic or just at the very start of the pandemic.
Oh man, it was around that time because they were doing a lot of covers on YouTube. They were very active on YouTube. I think that's how I got into them, was like catching their covers and things. I found them through doing like a Destros tree, and because I Love Bites fan. And then I was like, oh yeah, there's Mary's Blood, and then there's NEMOPHILA, and I was like, oh, I never really heard of NEMOPHILA, and then that led to the covers and all that. What did I say? But yeah, I mean, you're totally right about how they interact with each other. They're very great energy together. Like they just seem to get along very well, and that is so important because like you probably have seen so many Japanese bands where they sound good. Right, they sound amazing, but they just don't hold together because maybe a member is not really feeling it. But with like NEMOPHILA, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx them, but they seem like they like each other. Like they seem like they genuinely are enjoying just playing music together, that's really all you could really ask for. Oh, be talented and enjoy playing music together.
Yeah, be that talented and that accomplished and enjoy playing music together. So it's interesting you mentioned the Destros tree, and it sort of relates to that in as much as the Destros tree is because a lot of these women just couldn't get on with each other.
Yeah, and did you hear that Fate Gear lost yet another member? I don't know if you know. I'm sure you know Fate Gear.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, their keyboardist unfortunately had to leave the band due to family issues, or that's what she said anyway. And probably maybe, I don't know. But it's like, oh... and that's one of those bands where it's like I really want to enjoy them as much as everyone else does because like I hear potential, sure, but it's like the rotating door. I just really can't. Right. But with like NEMOPHILA, that's one thing I hope never happens because I'm like, man, you all seem to get along. It's great.
Yeah, and early days, it was touch and go as to whether Saki would stay. She signed up originally as a producer, so
okay.
I don't know if you're aware, but the way they formed is Mayu had a birthday bash and she found some musicians to come play with her. And at that point, she came and played and she had a thoroughly good time, but she didn't see herself being in the band. So the fact that she is good, and then the fact that she stayed is even better. I don't think she's like the band. I don't think that's it at all, not by a long shot. But
right,
she certainly helps being there.
Right, she definitely does, and she seems like she's enjoying it. But you're right, in the beginning, it was kind of like, what's she gonna stay? How long she's gonna really commit for? It's nothing against her, but it kind of what happens with these bands. It's like, okay. I guess she had other projects going on too. She had a project.
She was in 2 other projects at the time.
Yeah. One was with the bassist.
Mary's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's true. She was still on Mary's Blood at the time, right? She was still in Mary's Blood when she was in. NEMOPHILA.
Well, she still is technically. Apparently, they're only hiatus, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see
that's
what happens
true.
there.
And then she has her side project, a solo thing she does. Though there's only a couple.
She did Starlight, was it last year? Maybe
I
the
thought
year
it
before.
was it Starlight or Brightness?
Brightness, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh no. So you see, it was I that did Starlight, I think.
Oh yeah. See, Brightness I remember because that music video is hard to forget. Apparently, Saki likes having dancers too. Apparently, she's a fan of baby
Oh
metal.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, Saki, all right, I see what you're doing there. Not a
Yeah,
bad move.
Probably watch that again.
Yeah, yeah. Man, and she was in some other group too. Oh no, she was in like a project with the bassist from Dragon Force or something like that. I didn't really follow up on that.
Was it Dragon Force? It's Amahiru? Amaharu?
I'm a hero or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, that's the name of the group. But it seems like she's pretty committed now. Like I said, knock on wood though. You never really know with these bands because anything could change. But it's they have a pretty big show lined up. So I don't think any big changes are going to happen
before then.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we're set.
Go on.
I was going to ask here, being involved in the band so early on, you saw their early days and they're just doing a lot of covers. I remember getting into them. A lot of people call them a cover band, though they're much more than that. But we'll start with the covers. I know you mentioned the Trooper, but are there any other covers that really stood out to you, and how?
Well, they did the Baby Metal cover, so they did Megitsune, and I can describe this as like it starts off pretty pedestrian. It starts off like, okay, so you're covering a song, all right, fair enough. And then in the middle, Mayu actually does the screaming. She does the things that you always wanted Sue to do, and she never will. And it just really makes it. And then from then on, it gallops along and it's great. So I was impressed with that. Also, they did Whole Lot of Rosie, which was just kind of cool.
Yeah, they did AC/DC. And you know what too, like, and Mayu can pull off that voice in a way because she kind of. I mean, I like her voice. It's kind of raspy at times, like she smokes a lot of cigarettes. I don't know if she does or not, but it's like, it's cool. It's cool. I like it. I like what you said about Sue never doing that screaming. It just had me think how like Moa and now Momoko are billed as like scream and dance, but they never scream. They never scream. Like, it's crazy because like groups like Passcode, they scream, or Hanabiya, they scream. It's like, let them scream. Just let them scream if they want to.
Yeah. Well, this is she's a very expensive corporate asset.
Oh yeah, but you don't want to mess it up. I guess they're concerned if maybe the crowd won't like the screaming and upset some people, or I don't know.
Like, you can really mess up your voice doing that, and if you haven't got the
I guess you can
inclination to do it naturally, then you want to keep way away from that. And Sue's voice is just not in the same sphere.
Well, I wouldn't say Sue did screaming, but what about like Moa or Momoko, like those two? I don't even think they growl. I've never heard them do anything like that. Oh,
well, did you hear Moa? She did the what was it she did for birthday? So her and Yui both did one of their songs. But they sang the whole thing on their 15th birthdays.
Headbanger.
Wish I could remember. Headbanger, that's it. Yeah. I think if you listen to that, you know why she doesn't sing much, and she's kind of squeaky and cute,
Yeah.
But and she does the backing stuff, and she does the backing stuff just fine. But yeah, she's not a great singer. That's for sure.
It's a little different, but a scream every now and then. A scream, maybe. But anyway,
you can always hope.
Yeah. Apparently, actually, though, Momoko did something live in the latest tour, but I think it was like recorded and then played over. She wasn't doing it live in the moment though. But some people were saying that she did. With baby metal, you can never really tell.
She didn't have a mic, so.
Well, she had a mic on her for this latest world tour, like the the mouth mic, the same one that Moa has, but I don't know if it was really active or anything. It's hard to tell with baby metal sometimes. Sue's singing, but I'm not sure about if Momo actually did her growl. But anyway, moving back to NEMOPHILA here.
Back to NEMOPHILA.
Yes. Yes, you see, I get lost in the woods here. I like to digress. Just chill, just hang out, All right, so the covers, you mentioned the Baby Metal one. I really enjoyed that cover too. I like how when NEMOPHILA does a cover, they don't just cover it. They actually like embody the music. They kind of like put things in the music video to kind of, I guess, pay respects to the artist that they're covering.
Yeah. So the Journey one, for example,
Yes.
that's got many, many Easter eggs. I'm not particularly a Journey fan, but I think that's probably, in honesty, their best cover.
Oh yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah, and as far as a Journey fan goes, I know like their iconic songs. I maybe know like two of their songs. That's about it. Okay, but I
Exactly.
recognize them when they come on.
Yeah, my daughter was a massive Journey fan for some reason. I don't know why. I obviously did it wrong there or something. I don't know.
But yeah, I like how they go all out and they will include things in their music videos or even on their character. Put on like a little makeup. What is it? The Foo Fighters? She had a little mustache. What was it?
Yeah. Well, that was cool. That was a cool one as well, actually.
Yeah.
I'm giving that. But a lot of the covers, I sort of feel like it's almost pointless at this point. I know why they still do it. They're still doing it because lots of people still love it. But
Yeah.
they're an established band with their own established sound.
Yes. Yes. They don't have
And their
to
original
do
stuff
it.
some of their original stuff is better than
way better.
what they're covering.
Yeah,
So,
and sometimes you hear them cover a song, and it's like, look, that song is cool and all, like especially the original, but like you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to.
Yeah, right. And you can tell they're not doing it because they have to. They're doing it because they're having a good time. So good on them. They're just, I mean, as you sure they're just about to release an EP of covers. One of which was Metallica.
What's it called? The Initial Impulse.
That's
The Initial
it.
Impulse. Which they're gonna have Sugar, which that was a pretty cool cover, and then is it Master of Puppets Metallica? I think a Slipknot song.
I can see why that would go down so well with so many people. I was just never a Metallica fan. They were just at the wrong time for me. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was into Metallica when I was like in high school. Got through to like the Black Album, but then like I went through their older stuff and all that. But yeah, I mean they have a handful of different songs. I think the EP only has like 5 or 6 songs, right? It's gonna be yeah. So if you are a fan of like I don't know, like System of a Down, like that sort of sound, they have a cover of Sugar. They have a cover of Metallica, one of their iconic songs, Master of Puppets, which was like such a big hit earlier this year through Stranger Things. I remember when that episode came on, that song was trending. Everyone was talking about that song. It's like, you guys just heard about Metallica from this show. You guys don't even know. But it was cool.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like the old guy that was like, you're not even a real fan. But it's all right.
I just, smile when they're listening to this and, seeing people's reactions to things like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. It's like, yeah, see, when I was growing up, this was all new. This was all fresh stuff.
Yeah, imagine when it was just like, out there
when this
for the
was
first time, yeah.
This was current, popular culture. It was, that's what we live.
But, sometimes there's a show that's so popular, it will take something old and just bring it back up and just kind of revive it a bit. It's kind of interesting how that works. But
Stranger Things did that with a few things, though.
Yeah, they did actually. With like Dungeon Dragons, first off, like the whole thing. Have you ever played D&D? I know when out you as a nerd. But
no, well, I mean, it started when I was in junior college, and I just sort of didn't ever really get into it.
Yeah. I never really played. I played some of the PC games or whatever. Like I think Eye of the Beholder, and then there's some other like paper and pencil role playing games I played with some friends, whatever. But I didn't really get invested. It was like okay, it was cool artwork, cool stories, cool character designs and concepts, but never really got into it. It's but yeah. Anyway,
I was just never really into the fantasy thing, I guess. It just
yeah,
had my head firmly based in reality, which, yeah, to my chagrin, really. I could
right,
have
right,
enjoyed more fantasy in my life.
right. So that's any other thoughts regarding NEMOPHILA's covers?
Um, I not really. There's something I don't, gravitate towards so much as many other people do. I know they're really popular with people, but it's, for me, like I said, it's most of this stuff. They're a better band in their own right. It was interesting where they were doing NEMOPHILA Friday for a while, so we were just waiting to see what was coming next, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
none of them are bad, right? So it's not like you're
Well,
getting free music that's bad.
was the what was it? What was the song? You give love a bad name. Was that one? The Bon Jovi one? It wasn't a bad
Yeah.
cover. It was just like when you know what NEMOPHILA can do, and you hear them. I kind of actually let me tell you something. I felt like this when I heard them do "Walk" by Pantera. I was like, look, I like this song and all. Pantera is a Dimebag. He's a legend, but like you two, I was talking about the guitars. You guys could do more than what that song has, and I'm like, y'all could make this song really shine, and like because I felt like they were holding back. It felt a little. It felt like it was missing something.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean about it. It's just
Yeah, but some of these songs they weren't technically, and this goes for an awful lot of music. It's not technically very good. It's not technically up there.
yeah,
But it's the way it's delivered. It's who's delivering it, etc. And I
Yeah.
think Bon Jovi always fell into that camp.
right.
So,
With something like "Walk" by Pantera, it's not like that riff is very simple, and it's a dun 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 dun, dun. And like it's supposed to be delivered like you don't give a shit. Like you could play that song drunk because he did. The Dimebag was drunk all the time.
right.
And he just whip out that solo, and it sounds amazing. All right, but like, and of course, that's I think she did that part just right. I think Saki and both Saki and Hazuki, I did that part right. But yeah. So it's just what I thought there about that cover there. But I will say the last thing I'll say about the covers is that I do like how they do. They don't just focus on like rock bands or whatever. They kind of like go out. Oh well, I guess not just metal bands, I should say, because they do like they had a Nickelback of all things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's funny.
Yeah, it's a poor much maligned band, Nickelback. But what did they really ever do? What did Nickelback ever do to you? Um,
They hurt me. They hurt me. Take a look at this photograph, okay?
well, as long as you don't hear it 11,000 times, it's actually all right.
Yeah.
But I think the 11,000 of the first time, it's like, okay, now I want to shoot myself. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they also remember the Banana song.
The Banana song, yes. The
Nickelback,
Minion song. That thing
yeah.
was really fun. It was kind of goofy to hear them do that. It was like, okay, when I heard that, I was like, this is a band that is willing to have a silly time and just kind of goof off and have fun. Like that's important to me.
Yeah, I love the way they also put so much effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for just what's essentially a joke. But
Yeah. So what about their original songs? Like, how did you? Well, like I guess what are your thoughts on the originals? Like, which ones do you like the most, and why is that?
well, so like I said, I fell in love with her in first listen, and I liked it because it was far more powerful than most of the other stuff that's out there, far more in your face. And very well delivered. I've never really been a fan of screaming, and this is coming from the guy who's totally in love with Hannah B.A. now, right? But never been a fan of that at all. And so the fact that Mayu pulled it off so well and it integrated so well into the music was just great. So I got the CD. I bought the CD from their site, I think,
Okay.
and it also had Monsters and Life on it. And so I heard Life, and initially I was kind of disappointed because Life is a slow song. It's a gentle song.
Yeah, it is slow and gentle.
Yeah, and then Monsters comes along. Monsters is just good fun track. It's just good
True.
old Bob track. But since then, I've kind of learned to absolutely love Life, the song. It's an incredibly well put together song.
It really
It's
is.
simple. Yeah, absolutely love it. So that whole first single CD was great because Monsters is a a great track too. It sounds when you listen to it just on the CD, it sounds pretty lightweight, really. But when you actually hear it live, when they do it live properly, and all the synth stuff's actually done, Psyche plays it on her guitar, right?
Yeah.
Much harder, much better, much it's a real metal song as opposed to what you hear on the CD.
Did that CD also have Night Flight, or was that later?
No, see, Night Flight they only played um, at the online lives.
Okay.
And it's one of those songs which initially you don't really think much about it, but the second time you hear it, it's in your head.
Yeah.
And of and after the show, the ones that the tunes that stick out, that was kind of one of them. Weirdly, that and Game Over. So Game Over eventually ended up on Revive, right?
Yeah. Revive.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and Night Flight ended up a single on its own. I'm really glad they did that because they then did it live each show for the this
And
last tour.
when I heard Night Flight, I did a reaction to it a long time ago, but I had totally forgotten about it. And then when I saw them live for the first time over in Webster, Texas, which is like a hole in the wall bar, these girls came out from Japan to play. There are a lot of small venues, one of which was in Webster, Texas. Thank God. Okay. But they did that, and they played Night Flight as their encore. I totally didn't even recognize. I was like, "What is this song? It sounds so good. It sounds so amazing. It's very 80s, right, with the synths and everything, with the synth
Oh yeah,
keyboard sound. But it's just such a cool song. They're all wearing sunglasses and kind of dancing with the song. It was great. I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Night Flight.
yeah.
Amazing."
And it was. It's we would expected it to come on the Oirin singles album, so it was an Oirin extended version, but it just never showed up. But I'm really pleased with it. That's a Saki wrote it as a filler, so she'd never intended it to be a single or anything. She just put it down to be some filler music, because their first show online live was like an hour, just over an hour, I think.
Okay.
Um, and the truth of it is that Mayu wasn't very good.
Oh,
Now, don't get me wrong, I love
on the
Mayu. I
first
think
show, I didn't catch their first
yeah.
show.
Well, first or second, maybe even the third online live. And the reason it wasn't that she wasn't good. It was, in fact, that's very unfair. What it was is that she couldn't do the whole show.
Oh,
It was just too much for her. And I've said online many times since then that she put the work in. That girl worked her arse off because now she does a 90-minute 2 hour show, and she's as good at the end as she was at the beginning. And that you could tell from the first shows that she wasn't fit enough to do that, and it was going to take some work, and she did it, and she deserves everything she's got out of it from that
oh,
point on.
definitely. And
Because
she's still doing that after being a mother of one, right? She's a mom one.
yeah,
And I remember too, she was pregnant playing live at Aftershock, wasn't she?
yeah,
She
she was
was. Yeah,
in
she
that
was.
EU. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, I was like, holy shit. And, she would squat low like she normally does. I'm like, oh wait, don't you're not gonna give birth right here, are you? I think I said
that's
that in
right.
the reaction. I was like,
Are you sure?
I think a baby's gonna pop out. That might be the first time it ever happens in Aftershock. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I think War played there once, and they would probably do that. So I don't know if that was the first time. I don't know. I kid, but yeah. So that explains Night Flight. So it was kind of like it's kind of written quickly. Like I don't know about quickly, but it wasn't really intended to be, I guess, like an official song or anything. It's just
Right.
like
It,
filler.
it wasn't. Nobody said, "Well, let's put this on our album." It was
Yeah.
just, and Game Over too seemed to be sort of filler for the live stuff. It never made any noise, and then all of a sudden it's on the album, and
Mm.
I think it's one of their better songs too.
Yeah, Game Over is
Not
really good.
Yeah, not everything they do needs to be raucous and extremely loud. Um, but then they did the other two singles. They did Right Eye and Sorrow,
Rai Tai and Sorai. That's right. I think the first time I heard them was reacting to the live performances. I think of at Neon Yeon, where they perform with other bands like Shoya and Gotrek Spin. You know, they cross paths with so many cool bands that I really enjoy. It's like, oh, okay, okay. Which one do you like more, Sorai or? Oh man, I'm forgetting the other. Dang it! I got the names confused.
Right there.
Yeah. Rotai or Sorai?
I'm not going to pick between them. I don't think actually.
Both. Okay,
I think they both have.
That works.
they both have their merits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I loved what they did with Raito. I liked the video too. It was the first video that Saki produced on her own, edited and produced, and she was pretty pleased with it. And I'm like, well, it's kind of standard stuff for the J-Metal video scene, but it was just done very well. It's like she can't manage to get things wrong, sort of thing. But on the other hand, Sora gets in your head and it stays there. It's it's a great bopping along song, that one. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, kind of the same way. I think Ori. I think Ori. The chorus is. I think I kind of like the chorus in that one a little bit more, but but they're both really good songs. So.
Mayu wanted to call the band Sorrow, but apparently there's another band called Sorrow, so she didn't.
You know what? I think you're right about that. Yeah. Huh. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I learned something here today. Look at that. All right. So let's see.
Much more.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you're, when you're checking out their original tracks there. We
moved on a bit though, because we then got to Dissension. Dissension is a whole nother level.
I was okay. Yeah. Let's get into Dissension, because there's like the Japanese version and then like the U.S. version, like the U.S. music video, which was like absolutely okay. I'm a fan of NEMOPHILA, but let me ask you this, okay? You know what I'm talking about, right? The American music video for Dissension.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it?
They did at the same time as Alabama, I think, or at least it looks like they did. I don't think they needed to do it. I think it was completely unnecessary.
They did not need to do it. And I'll just tell you, I was like, who directed this? Because they were drunk on the job. Whoever's running the lights didn't ever know how to run the lights. If you ever watched that music video, it's like they had a spotlight going around the place and never focused on the girls at all. Like the girls were like in darkness. I'm like, I didn't even know who's playing. Like, is this AI? Like, what's going on here? Is it the band? It's like the original Japanese music video was so much better. But I guess they're in the U.S. for a little bit. I remember seeing some tweets where had time to shoot a video. Okay, it's cool, and that's what they got. But they tried something. It just was like, well, I don't know who you guys trusted on that, but they don't trust them again because they didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah, and as far as the English version goes, with the English lyrics in it, it's only like 4 lines. Which
see, I didn't even talk about the lyrics. I didn't even really notice the lyrics. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
But like, it was like the music video itself. I was like, man, I can't even see these girls. I can't, and they look great when they play. Like, why would you keep them in the dark like that?
Yeah, and if you looked at the original video, which was very well done. I think it's interesting. Like all the female reactors for that go, oh look at the tinsel in their hair. Like
yeah, you're right.
Everyone. It's but it was that video was again simple but really nicely done. You could see everything, see people playing. There was the shot of Saki playing in the whammy bar, etc.
It was a pretty good music video. I mean, you saw the band play together. You had the solo shots of each member. You had a little bit. There's a part where Saki's sitting on the couch in the very beginning. She kind of gets up and stuff. Whereas in the American version, they're like standing on steps. They're like going in various ways, like that painting or whatever. like some sort of illusion. It's like, okay, but it with in darkness. So,
Yeah, I didn't. It was pointless, completely pointless. But hey,
yeah,
you have to throw some stuff at the wall, right?
they attempted something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is a badass song, regardless what version you listen
is.
to. You're listening to a really good song.
And it's it's something that it opens you up to the fact that the world and people are very similar wherever the hell you go. Um, it's about the media and politicians and how they're basically two-faced lying bastards at the end of the day. And it's the same everywhere, and we've known this for a while. But on the other hand, the credit for it is She Knows. So it's not credited to Mayu, Psyche, or anybody else that you can put a name to. It's just She Knows. I thought it was quite cute.
She Knows. Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay? Now I'm forgetting his name. You probably know. There are some songs that are like written by like a producer, kind of like behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a few. I don't remember his name actually.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
being of great
and it
interest.
happens. That happens with some bands, a lot of bands. Even Bandmate has
Yeah.
it. Before any, we have a Bandmate fan in the chat. He's cool. Bandmate fan, ATL. He's also a NEMOPHILA fan. But some people might be like trying to be like, hey, look, they have a producer that writes their stuff. A lot of these bands do. Even American bands do. Okay, they have a producer
Yeah.
come
Oh,
in,
yeah.
be like, hey, we're gonna help you out. Okay, Metallica even had that. Okay, the Black Album, producer came in. I'm gonna help you out. That's what we're gonna do. Okay.
Yeah, well, right. Well, it goes all the way back. AC/DC had Mark
Yeah.
Lang, for example. They were doing nothing without him over here.
Yeah, I mean, they need a guy to you have talent, but you need a director, okay? You need someone to help him sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, you do.
I was gonna say too, about the two versions of Dissension, is that I was surprised, but also relieved that they kept the kind of kawaii rap portion of the song. You know, the white. I don't really call it rap, but you know what I'm talking about, the very cutesy part. It kind of like
Chants,
yeah.
gang chant bit, yeah. Well, and that was in English anyway, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought, I was thinking maybe they would think it'd be too cute for American audiences or whatever. But I'm glad that they kept that in because I mean that's the NEMOPHILA charm. You take that out, you just take out, you just ruin it.
Yeah,
That would be the
absolutely.
point.
100%. They scored, well, certainly with the the original video, they scored all round with that. I think that was a real winner.
Mhm.
And then they followed it up with Revive, which ticked all the other boxes. I think it was another great song.
Revive was really good. That music video, now that was awesome to see.
Yeah, and it's all the story was awesome too. It's like a day after a typhoon, and they're being blown about like paper kites out there.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Probably most people wouldn't have been up there.
Wait. Okay, so that part I missed. Wait. So it was very windy in that music video. Wait. So there was a typhoon around that time when they were filming that music video?
Yeah, the day before.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they were being hit by divine winds. They were just like, oh, we're just going to play right here. We're going to play.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this. Yeah, and
Oh my.
again,
Because I was like,
Jack
man,
was-
okay. Obviously they're using just the wind because they don't need fans. It's like a windy day and their hairs are blowing really hard, Oh shit.
that was very real, very very real.
Oh man. But it was a really good music video. I thought it was well shot. The colors in it were very vibrant.
It was great, and for costumes, they deliberately went with was it a 80s grunge look?
Yeah, they did.
Which
They
I
did.
think they
They
pulled
had,
off real well.
yeah, they had sort of like the 80s, 90s. Yeah, it's sort of look. For a while, I actually kind of thought that was like the look that they just kind of have, or like Mayu would wear like the Harley Davidson shirt and kind of like baggy pants or whatever. It's like okay, and it was just kind of like, oh, I like their look. I like what they're going for.
Yeah, well, they switch that up all the time. That's become
Yeah,
apparent. It's like,
apparently they
well,
do. I noticed that it's like, oh, and I think there's one time I think when they're doing Ray of Light, and she had Mayu had her hair in like those small braids, right?
hmm
Okay. I was like, now, and I don't know much about about hair, but I was like, I didn't really care much about that look, but that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah, well, so there's another along the same lines, right? Rolling quartz.
No, I don't think so.
Really? Okay. Well, rolling quartz are Korean, and they're
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said rotten corpse. Rolling quartz. Yes,
rolling quartz.
I know
Yeah,
who they
not to be
are.
confused with
Yes.
not to be confused with rolling dead people down the hill. No.
Yeah.
Well, the bass player RM, she got some braids one time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and somebody made a really big fuss over this, saying it was cultural appropriation, and they wrote this big apology, and I wrote back to them saying, well, Mayu did this like literally a month before, and there wasn't any apology there or any backlash. So, what are you apologizing for? Don't do that. Just ignore these people.
Yeah. Like, don't even. Man, those are just like keyboard warriors or whatever. Just people who complain about every little thing. It's just don't listen to the. Like I thought about this too about social media, whatever. I feel like back in the day before like Twitter and X or whatever, like there'd be those people who write in an angry letter and send it in, and no one reads it. But now everyone sees those letters because everyone's connected, and it's just like okay, just you don't have to listen to everybody, okay?
Yeah.
But,
Well, just yeah. But it reminds me that well, we'll probably get onto that later. I'll stay still on that one for the time being.
okay.
But yeah, so her hair, yeah, it was just yeah. Again, trying something you want to do. She obviously enjoyed it. I mean, it looked good for what it was. But so interesting. A side note on that: if you notice recently, she posted some pictures of new haircuts. So she's got like this, fashion grey kind of thing going on,
Yes.
short. And every time, not just Mayu, but lots of other of these girls, they'll go through phases of about a year or two of doing crazy things with their hair,
Yes.
and they come to a point they have to chop it all off because it's just turned to something horrible.
That is true. It happens.
It's like, oh, she's got the. So give her a year or so, she'll be back.
Yes, she will. She will.
I love the bright orange look though. I mean, yeah,
The bright
gotta hand
orange
it
is
to her.
great. I like that.
Yeah.
It really pops. Like the color that she had in the revived music video. That one. Wait. Are you talking about the one where the color she has recently with in the Sugar music video?
It's the Dissension video.
Dissension.
That orange.
Okay, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. So we talked about Revive. What's the next song on your list that you got there?
From there, I think Adabana probably does it.
Adabana.
Mm.
Okay, this is the one where my dyslexia catches up. I'm like, Abadana? When I read it in a certain way, I'm like, Adabana. Adabana. All right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that song?
Again, it's just one that caught my ear. It just it takes you on a little bit of a journey. This is, I believe, it's kind of they haven't. It's about not being quite ready yet, or something like that.
Yeah.
Not being quite finished. And I think I noticed in the video they hadn't finished their makeup. Like they'd deliberately gone for a not finished look, which was, I don't know whether anybody else noticed that or agrees with me, but that's the way I read it anyway.
Oh, I did not notice. In the music video, their makeup was not finished.
Yeah, they no lipstick kind of thing. Sort of
okay.
half.
Wow. Okay, and that's an intentional small detail. Okay.
It could have been. If it wasn't, then I'm just out here on my own. But that's how I looked at it.
Well, I mean, based on the lyrics of the song and what it's about, like not. Oh, yeah, I think that would fit.
Yeah. So anyone in the comments with any comments about that? Let me know. Am I high? Was I
I
smoking
mean,
something that?
Adabana is like a flower that doesn't. I remember I looked at these lyrics before. It's like a flower that doesn't have any real purpose. It just grows. Just like it's not a fruitful flower. I mean, well,
It's
that's what
not.
every
It's
flower.
not finished.
It's not finished.
I think the
Okay,
point was not finished, but
not finished.
again,
Gotcha. Okay.
but again, I could be completely wrong about that. I've been wrong before.
That makes more sense than some of the other translations I read, where it's like, okay, all right, yeah. So I'll go with that. But
Well,
the sound of that
also,
song. Oh, go ahead.
if you speak to artists, very often they'll just say, "Well, how do you interpret it?" It's like, "Well, thanks a lot for that. Thank you very much. Cheers for that insightful answer." I
That
want to
is
know what
true.
you meant.
I mean, they kind of leave it open like that because it's kind of like you can enjoy it the way you want as well, right? And that's just kind
It's
of
like,
cool
well, I
about
know
it.
I can do that, but what did you mean?
Yeah, but I wonder if some of us are like that because we want to hear it from the official source. That way we can be like, no, you're wrong. According to Mayu, this song actually means this. you know,
Yeah, she said this herself.
she's the czar of this song. She wrote it. No, okay. But anyway, but the tone of that song is very cool, and was kind of I say I'm trying to remember that is different compared to the songs around that time. It had a different tone to it.
It did, and it had a drum solo, not a guitar solo,
It did, it did.
which, you know, and if there's anybody who's going to pull off a drum solo as a major single release, then it was going to be Tamu. So,
Didn't is it Hypnosis? Didn't it also have a drum solo?
I can't, maybe.
I remember it did. That's the one that has kind of like I just call it like a Bollywood sound, kind of like a more of like an Indian
Sort of
sort
an
of sound.
Eastern thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that one didn't have a guitar solo either. It was like it had a drum solo. It was like
It didn't, but also that was Haraguchi-san's first composition, I think.
that
So
one.
it was very different. Yeah.
I thought our first composition was Style. Wasn't Style the one? Was it Style and Tamu?
First or which one was first, Style or Hypnosis?
Hypnosis was
Style was
first,
on the
and
next
Style
album.
was later. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it was Hypnosis was Haraguchi-san's first one. And I was pretty damn impressed, really. She sits quietly at the back there, just smiling and doing some great things on bass. But then more recently, she's been pushed a bit further to the forefront. Like, oh, okay, maybe I am, tall enough to stand amongst these giants, and she's been doing her thing, and that's great to see too. Somebody else said they went to the whiskey and they thought she signed brightest on stage. Personally, I thought Hazuki did, but hey.
Well, I wasn't there at Whiskey, but I saw the bootlegged footage was going around, and I thought she was great too. From when I saw there. Well, then again, my eyes just kind of are drawn too hard Gucci-san. I don't want to say for any. Look,
What? No, okay.
Look, she just so happens to remind me. She just has a look that reminds me of one of my exes. Okay, it's like that. It's like I might have a problem here. It might be I might have a crush. This is horrible. Let's not get into it. I'm like I have to check myself. I'm aware of it, so I do try to check myself. Okay. I'm just like,
well, you know what? None of these girls are ugly, are they? Let's be honest.
no, they're not. They're great and they're skillful. And you know what? I think you're right about Hypnosis. I'm going to say it was Haraguchi-san. It's a song that's very bass heavy. It's very drum and bass heavy, which tells me that's going to be a Haraguchi-san Tamu combo, and they're great together. Honestly, Haraguchi-san and Tamu could probably just make a song together. I mean, they're probably good. There's a bass and drum groove, like a little track, a filler track.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, apart from this, the current covers that's coming along, I'm sure we'll get some more original stuff fairly soon too.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
No.
How long has it been since Seize the Fate now?
So Seize the Fate came out this year. It's been almost like a year, right?
Yeah, at least 9 months. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
well,
Do we have an? Do
if we have the initial impulse coming out
we,
soon,
oh,
we
oh,
may not get a new album until when is the Budokan live? Isn't that in February?
I believe so.
It might be after that.
Yeah, Seize the Fate was like November 22, I think.
Okay.
So we're looking on a year. But that said, um, there's no need to push these bands. They're better when they come up with their own thing in their own time.
Right.
Um, so we've spoken briefly about Hanabiye previously, and their last album was 2 and a bit years, I think, from their first one. And I'm glad we waited. It's
Yeah. No
really
need to
good. So
rush.
yeah, totally. So I feel a little bit like Seize the Fate had that kind of feeling about it. They'd sort of said, "All right, what have we got? What can we pull? What can we get out there?" Which was unnecessary. They could have left it a year, I think.
Ah. Okay. Oh, on that topic, okay. So Revive or Seize the Fate. They only have two original albums out there. Only full albums, and it's kind of like I hate to do like which one you like the most, but it's kind of like if I were to choose, for me it would probably be the first one. It has more of what I really really like. But with that said, I mean I do also enjoy the newer one, but it's like the original has like more of the songs, like Rollin', a Revive, Dissension, things like that. So
Yeah, right, that's it though. I think it's just a much better put together album. Um, it's listenable from start to end. There's albums there which have got no skips, right? So there's very few of them, in fact. Um, albums where because back in my day, he says with his walking stick out, we had like round things that were black and had holes in the middle, and yeah, really. And you listen to the whole thing, and often there were tracks on there you wanted to skip and just didn't because it wasn't, couldn't be asked. And sometimes they'd actually end up your favorite tracks because there were more complex stuff that was more difficult to, understand, but were actually really good. Well, these days people just, they've got phones, so they're not even really looking at albums. They're just looking at selected singles or selected parts of an album, and they skip things all the time.
yeah,
So, you get less and less albums where there's, not many skips or no skips at all. I
right.
think Revive's one of them. I think Revive is that, but then, Seize the Fate isn't.
Yeah,
So
I can hear
there's a
that.
difference for you.
What songs really stand out for you on the Revive album? I know we probably already talked about some of the songs.
Yeah, well, Hazuki's one of them.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, we mentioned Life, I think. Um, and Change the World. I like the message in that. I think that's just a fantastic message. So
I agree.
keep it up, keep doing that. And that's something with all these bands, or at least all the ones that I'm into, is that they all have some kind of either upbeat message or social conscience kind of thing, which it may be reasonably well hidden, but it's there. None of it's just for the sake of it. There's no. See, Aldius a long time ago, they did lots of sort of fantasy type nonsense songs, if you like.
Yeah.
One of them was my favorite. They have this thing on Radiant A called the Butterfly Song or something about butterflies. Absolutely fantastic song, written by Sour, their bassist, and love it to bits. But it's
Their bass is great.
cheers, but it's total nonsense, right? And that's changed. I think since the sort of 2015 sort of era, they've been writing music which actually means something a bit more. But yeah, so Change the World is firmly in that camp as opposed to the fantasy craziness. Then Seize the Fate. I mean, I like Rock and Roll Is. I think that's a Saki. I tend to find that I'll gravitate towards hers soonest, I think. And that just may be a hangover from Mary's Blood. I don't know.
Yeah. With Seize the Fate, yeah, Rock and Roll Is that's a good song. That kind of has that almost like a '90s, like almost like a kind of like a Nirvana song in the beginning with that kind of
Hmm.
in the guitar lick in the beginning. And
Yeah.
then they had songs like Ray of Light, which kind of reminded me more of something you would hear off of Revive. Ray of Light or and Seize the Fate. Intin and Zen were really good too. They stand. Intin is the one what that has the I guess the Japanese like drums thing going on in the
Yeah.
background.
And the voice in there.
Yeah,
The,
yeah, man,
yeah.
that song is cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let's see. Zen is really cool. I like oh when they actually recently released what their official live video. It was kind of cool to hear that and see that. Um, let's see. That's another one I think that's credited to Haraguchi-san. I think anyway. Could be
Which
wrong.
one?
I think Zen. I'm not exactly sure if it is. Whenever they play it live, for some reason they really shine on her. So
it's heavy. It's a heavy song. So, um,
oh, now the one song on there that I'm going to ask you. Okay, how do you feel about Style?
um, I kind of like it, but it's not. It's out in left field for NEMOPHILA, I think.
It is right.
Um,
It's very different.
it is.
It's
It
like
is. I
okay.
do like it, but
So I was saying, we could really mess with other reactors. As someone who doesn't know NEMOPHILA, be like, hey, check out this band NEMOPHILA. Check out the song Style. I'm just messing with you.
yeah.
Don't do that song first. But I like what I say though. I defended this song many times. I'm like, man, I kind of like it. I know it's like new metal rap. That's kind of what was going on there, man. It's like, all right, this is like, it's a rap rock song. Okay, it's like,
It's what's this? Where are we going? It's sort of mid 2000s. That's where that sort of came from.
yeah,
Um, but you know, again, we mentioned Hanabiye again. They're making a career out of that, so in a slightly different way.
yeah, that's true. That's true. My favorite song off the album though, I would be Back into the Wild. I know it's kind of a simple song, but I remember watching an interview and Tamu was like, she said it was her favorite song because like the drumming in it, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I can hear why. I don't know how you made those drums sound like that, but yeah, that's
But you did, and yeah,
amazing.
yeah. That's a probably not my biggest standout on there, but certainly in the top three. That I do like Ray of Light. Um,
Oh, Ray of
Again,
Light is
that's
intense, man. That's
it
the
is,
one.
but it's
Go ahead.
yeah. I
Oh,
was going to say it's also really pretty simple as well.
yeah. The riff is pretty simple. I think there's a lot of layering there. At least it sounds like there's a lot of stuff kind of going on. Um, it's like that's the song. When I heard it, I was like, okay, the intensity of it, of all the sounds going on in the background and stuff. It kind of like musically, it sounds like it would fit like the movie like Event Horizon, like when everything's all going crazy in that movie. It's like you play that song and
Yeah.
that shit, or it's like it's a good song for like a soundtrack for like a Doom game or something.
Mhm.
It just seemed it just was very intense and kind of claustrophobic even. That's cool though. Let's see. That's kind of it for Seize the Fate, I think. They had a waiting for you actually. That was very okay. How would you describe Waiting for You?
I don't know. I describe Waiting for You. I heard it again this afternoon. Didn't stick with me well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
those
I haven't.
those punk bands back in the 90s like Blink-182, I think what Fat Lip or what's the band that did Fat Lip? What's the name of that band?
Sadly,
Is that the name of the band? A song?
were they American?
Yeah, 90s pop punk bands. It just
Yeah.
it just had that sound. In fact, actually, the beginning lick sounds kind of similar. Not saying anything. I think really it's just paying homage, probably just a reference to it because that's Sum 41. Sum 41. I think that's the band I'm thinking of. think it's them.
It's got a bit of a Foo Fighters vibe to it as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's very different from NEMOPHILA, right? It's like the Seas of Fate. I guess what you have there with the Seas of Fate album altogether, it's like there's some songs on there that really, it's like we're gonna do something very different.
Yeah, well, they're from, each of the girls got their own track in there, or two or three. Um, it's, I wouldn't say it's a mishmash, but it's, for me, it's not cohesive like Revive was.
Yeah,
And even, even Iron Extended, which is not really an album, it still flowed, which was, I guess that really makes it an album, to be honest.
mm. Yeah, I can see that. So it kind of, because you talked about what's going to be their next album, what it's going to sound like. Um, after they do an initial impulse, eventually later on, maybe next year sometime, we'll get something. And I'm very curious what their sound's going to be. If it's going to be kind of like what they did with Seas to Fate, or if it's going to be something more cohesive. It's hard to really know, right? It's
Yeah, this is one of the things we have absolutely no control over whatsoever.
yeah. And really,
You get what you
honestly,
get.
it's almost like I just trust them. Whatever they want to do, they'll do it. Oh, bandmate ATL says I love style. Oh, hey, you've probably seen many of my videos where I'm like, hey, the thing that sticks to me about style is not only is Mayu rapping, but the guitars are like backing her up, like Mayu spitting fire, and the guitars sound like they're spitting fire too. Because every time she'll like drop a line or whatever, and they're very active. Those guitars are very active in that song. I mean, they're doing simple little riffs, but you know, it's cool if you like that sort of thing. you know.
Well, I can see that. So, he mentions RHCP as well. I mean,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I don't know whether they've ever mentioned them though. I mean, Mayu mentions Foo Fighters a lot, but I haven't heard them mention Red Hot Chili Peppers, which you'd think
Have
they
they
might,
done a
because they were.
cover? Have they done a cover of Red Hot Chili Peppers? They haven't, have
Did
they?
they? I don't think so.
I know they did Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, that's another band that I passed by. So, System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine, two bands that totally were in my how should we say, missing from metal period.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Rage Against
I
the
think
Machine
about
had like just iconic like "Killing in the Name of" songs like that, or "Bulls on
yeah,
Parade." It's like, okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool, man. That's cool hook to it. But I didn't really grab their albums or anything. I think
well,
around
I
that time.
kind of gave up on the stuff in the early '90s. So, as Metallica came along, I kind of gave up on it. Because it all got very samey and it all got very ego-y.
Oh,
Like,
so what were you listening
well,
to then?
well, I mean, one of my favorite bands was Motorhead. Um,
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
I just absolutely love Motorhead, and most of his stuff was simple, but it was very to the point, and some of it was very clever, even though it was simple and to the point. I absolutely love that. And then, like I said, Maiden, back then, AC/DC, but they all tailed off, in sort of mid '80s. And the things that came along, like Saxon and Blackfoot and things like that, they just seemed like sort of copies of it.
Mm, yeah.
So, I ended up going off in the direction of like U2 and Simple Minds and various other bands like that. Ended up, so I've always liked female singers. So there's a band called the Heartthrobs, who are sort of late '80s, early '90s in the UK. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. It was, indie stuff, totally overlooked by the entire world. There was also All About Eve, who were, indie rock, all female fronted. And that's been my attraction. So when somebody comes along with real metal, which is not just female fronted, but female entirely, and mostly written by women as well, it just has a completely different vibe to it. It's a totally different feeling. So I would probably have completely ignored metal forevermore had that not happened. just totally reawakened any kind of thoughts in it. And I like Red Hot Chili Peppers as well, and Foo Fighters, but neither of them, you wouldn't accuse either of them of being metal. So
Yeah, they're not metal. Foo Fighters are more like, I guess post grunge or whatever.
yeah,
You know, it's,
grunge, that would be it. And
so really, if it wasn't for Japan, like your love for music or a love for metal would not be here.
yeah, 100%.
Wow. So Japan saved metal for you.
Me, absolutely, one definitely, no question.
I don't know
And
what they're
it came
feeding.
around.
I don't know what they're putting in the water in Japan to make their women so talented in this way. But yeah, I mean, because you see it quite a bit. There's a lot of bands that have like all female and they're playing really good music. And I try to listen to like Western equivalents, but I really don't know what they are. I think there's Anita Strauss. I don't even know if I got her name right. I think she's a chick and she plays guitar. And I'm not really aware of like really awesome all female rock bands. I mean, currently, and I think there's Burning Witches is as a band,
Yeah.
but they don't really do it for me, like like
Well,
Love
a
Lights
band that
does.
did it for me a long time ago was L7. So,
L7.
I mean, L7, yeah, they did a bunch of songs. One of my favorite was Shit List. Which,
Oh,
again,
okay,
very disappointing.
okay.
American band, all female, sort of punk metal. But that was, again, must have been late 80s, I guess. And they disappeared. But yeah, it was a surprise to me because somebody sent me a Baby Metal Give Me Chocolate link. And I saw it and I'm like, well, that's cute. Okay, that's all right, fair enough, that's cute. And it came up again. And I'm like, on YouTube, I'm like, all right, well, this is getting into my head. So I just bought one of their albums because it was, well, it's cheap and easy, right?
Yeah.
And I was thoroughly impressed. So I then went looking for some stuff online and found some live stuff and some, concert stuff, so festival things. And it's like, well, this is great. This is so much more fun than anything in this genre I've
Oh,
ever seen
especially
before.
their live shows. Yeah, you check out their live
Yeah.
shows, like yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, just pure fun, and that's kind of addictive. So I went looking for more, and that's when I found Audius, and well, that was the entrance to the rabbit hole.
Ah, Audius was okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good entrance. That's a good way to get into Japanese metal there. As I know we've been on for about an hour now. I want to get your thoughts about a few other things. Just to make sure. So NEMOPHILA, regarding them and the live shows that you've seen, do you have any sort of
Mhm.
thoughts about that? Like, have you seen them live in person? How many venues have you gone to? What do you think of the show and all that?
Well, I've just seen them twice,
Okay.
mostly out of I have other commitments. I can't run around the countryside like other people do, going and seeing bands when they come here.
I
I'd love
understand
to.
that. I got limitations too, family and work.
Yeah, I really would love to, but I don't have the chance. So I saw them at the Whiskey. There was just no way I wasn't going to go and see that show. Um, some of these bands have still not been to the US. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw Audius, like half of Audius, play
Hey,
a half-hour set.
but with
You
that
know,
said, if you and I had went, and this is the first time I'm meeting you, but I have a feeling that if you and I went, that crowd would have been a lot more active. It would be like, hey, what are we doing, guys?
well,
You're just standing around.
well, see now, yeah, but I went and I just got over COVID like 2 weeks
Oh,
before,
okay.
and it gave me a post-COVID sinus infection like nothing I've ever had before.
Oh,
So as I'm driving there, I'm feeling like I'm going to sort of pass out a couple of times, but I held it together. Um,
oh,
I got some beers at the venue, kind of forgot all about it, and had a great time.
that,
The
that,
the show though was interesting. People have said, well, the crowd was a bit limp, and in some places they were. But here's the thing: I went to the same venue a few weeks ago and saw that other band we won't mention again, and they had three warm-up acts. And by the time they came on stage, everybody was so utterly hyped that the atmosphere was incredible. It was a fantastic show, one of the best ones I've been to in a very long time. Yeah. Well, when NEMOPHILA came on the whiskey, there was nothing. It was dark, and there was a
Oh,
little bit of background music kind of thing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And then all these, the band we'd anticipated for this time that were destined to do great things and did, then just landed on stage and started singing. To go from excited to be there to now you're in a concert. It's just not really natural.
yeah, that's true.
Um, I know a bandmate do it, but they start off a bit mellow, and generally they're a bit more mellow anyway, I think. So,
Yeah.
they weren't looking for the same thing. Um, I want to dispel the myth though that you can't mosh or stave dive the whiskey. They say you can't, but well, apparently if you're called Yukini, you can. And
Yeah, you're not
and
gonna tell her
yeah,
no. You're not gonna tell her no.
no, well, apparently not. They didn't. She did that. And also there was plenty of there was a circle, there was a wall of death, there was a lot of moshing going on in this tiny little venue, and nobody stopped them. So they could have done this for NEMOPHILA, but they didn't. But there was a bunch of there was probably 100 very committed fans right up front there who were absolutely ecstatic to be there. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So I don't know how that didn't come across. But I mean, it did. You went about 3 songs in, and it was quite normal from
Yeah,
that point
he
on.
got hyped up. I was just playing into that, and I would have been there too, like 2 beers, one in each hand, just having a good time. But you're right about the Yukina thing, because like I saw them live in Houston, and yeah, man, that crowd was active. That crowd was hyped up, and
Hmm.
that mosh was very intense, man. I think it was more intense than what I saw at the Baby Metal show. I mean,
Yeah.
because it was like, dude, people got hurt. It was cool. Oh man. And beer was spilled all over the place. Well, that was my beer. I got knocked into. It's like, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not ten bucks a cup these days.
Oh, I was drinking Lone Star, so it was actually $5 a can. Hey, when I'm at a live show, I'm going cheap. I'm like, give me the cheapest thing you got. You got Lone Star?
Well, you
I'll
don't
take
have the
that.
choice here.
No,
I
no.
live in California. You've got the penalty of living in California fee for everything.
Oh,
So I think they're actually $8. $8 for you could even if you were insane buy a Bud Light for $8. So
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Huh? Well, I bought a Bud Light for like $13 here in Houston when I saw Baby Metal, and I was like, man, that's bull crap. But I did it anyway. I was like, this is dumb. Ah,
Yeah. Oh, let's not go there. All right. So, but that show also had, from my point of view, Saki was having a real strop. She was really pissed off. There
yeah, she
was
was, wasn't she?
there was several things going on, right? So she was having gear problems. There was a guy right in front of her. I was on the balcony. I got a table because I was going to go with my wife. And she ended up not going in the end, but whatever. I ended up, with a good view down. So I wasn't on the rail, which would have been better, but I didn't get there early enough to do that anyway. So I got a good view from above, and you could see she was visibly pissed off with that. You could see the guy in front of her was basically he had a camera like right up her skirt, and it was just standing there with a camera pointed at her. No movement, no jumping up and down, no arm in the air, nothing, just pointing the camera at her. And she got visibly very rattled by it, and very pissed off. She sat down a few times, and she was shaking her head and was annoyed. This didn't spoil it, but it seemed it took a bit of a shine off it. And then when she came back for the encore, somebody obviously had a word with her and said, "Don't worry about this creep. Don't. It's fine. Just go out there and play." And for the last couple of songs, she did great. She was what I expected to see from Mary's Blood, etc. Um, but yeah, and the comments afterwards were all about, "Oh, we expected more from the crowd." It's like, yeah, well, I think you have to have a warm up act. I think if you're going to play that intense kind of music, then you should do that. And again, when I saw them in San Francisco, the first couple of songs suffered from that same thing. There was everybody had to get warmed up. If you're going to be active and be jumping up and down and waving your arms in the air and things, it takes a little bit of warm up. Just standing there for 2 hours before doesn't do that for you.
no. You got to have some. When I saw them at the Scout Bar, they had some local bands play before,
Hmm.
and the local bands, I don't really remember their names. There's one actually that was I kind of do wish I remember their name because it kind of reminded me of like Metallica back when they were like very young, when they first started or whatever. They just had that look and that sound kind of sort of. But like I mean, and they were drinking a beer while they're playing too. When was that? It was like, give me a shot. Just take a shot and start playing. I was like, okay, I like that attitude. And you're playing some thrash, okay. But like, we were all ready for NEMOPHILA. We're like, please, just start with him. Just start with NEMOPHILA, please. We're ready for it. Let's just do it now.
Yeah.
But you mentioned some good things too. So there were some other issues going on during that show. Saki was obviously visibly annoyed by that creep. Okay, they didn't have an opening act. You know, I read somewhere too that they were kind of bothered by just everyone just kind of standing around with recording everything, which is kind of like what you see.
That comes from Saki herself, right? I spent many hours going through YouTube looking for things which were copyright infringements, and then sending on to her, her manager, because she wanted to get all of the early stuff off of YouTube. People were putting on the live streams and things, and she wanted to protect the professionalism side of it. She wanted to make sure that the product they put out was the best it could be, and she wasn't ready for it to be out there. And I think she still had that attitude when she did that show. And I think afterwards somebody's put her straight and said, it's all good. You know, don't worry about it. You know, you're good enough. Nobody's gonna see a bad video of you. So,
okay.
You know, don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why she would be concerned about that. And you know what? I remember that moment. A lot of the reactors, myself included, were caught in a fever. And a fever of, oh my God, this is the first time they're doing this. Oh my God. And I caught myself. I was like, wait, I'm reacting to something that's like I probably shouldn't be. And I was like, okay, I got to take this off. I took it off. Yeah. I took it down. I was like, I can't. Like, it's not supposed to be out there. I'm going to take it down. I had a fever. I was caught in it. I was caught in the moment. I was excited too. But, you know, it's not what the band would want. And you know, some bands, you can kind of tell if they're kind of cool with it. You know, it's like you'll see some fan cams like Bandmade here and there.
So, yeah. Mention Hanabiya again. They were all about it. They actually listed reaction videos on their site. Yeah, so they had their original website, which has changed now. They listed reaction videos on there. I'm pretty sure you were on there.
They did that. So, and Gottschalk Spin. Wait, I think you're talking about Gottschalk Spin, right? The Gottschalk Spin, they did that as well, where they had reaction videos, or they had a reaction video contest actually. The guy from Gaijin Guys was on there. I think his name was Wave. I think Wave.
Oh, Wave Potter.
Yeah. He was on there. He was the one. He
seems like a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. He's the one who wore the blue wig. The kind of I think he did a cover. He did like a one man band cover of a Gottschalk Spin song. I was like, man, you got it. You blew every reactor out of the water with that thing. Like no one's gonna compete with that. You actually put in effort, brother. No, I'm just
right. You went that extra mile.
No, but that's good. Yeah, and he's you know, from everything I've seen, he looks like a good guy. Let's see. Oh, what about? I mean, anything else that stand out with the live shows for you?
You know, I hate to do this, but could you excuse me for a minute here?
Oh, no problem. If you need to take a piss break.
Do I? All right, I'll be right back. Okay. I will collect a thought too.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to man the fort here. All right, so this is great. The whole idea of these streams, I've done it before, is just bring a fan that really likes one of the bands I react to on this channel. Like I did that with Babe Metal. Auto Metal was great, and you know he'll return to. Haven't done that with Bandmade yet, or with Love Bites really, but you know it happens. It takes time. I try to do it with the warning, but the person that I thought I had lined up, it just never really happened. Maybe it'll happen again. You know what happens usually in those streams if I don't get a guest? Well, we're just gonna talk about the stuff they do on social media. You know, pretty much be a hyped stream, which is like I like doing. Yeah. So if you're watching live right now, let me know what you think of this so far. Hey, how's it going? And if you're watching after the fact, well, thanks for making this far. I hope if you're watching after the fact, you made it this far. This is probably background noise for you, isn't it? You're probably doing something else while this is playing. Let me know what you're doing. Are you working on a car? Are you at work? Mowing the yard? Yeah, I listen to like when throughout the day when I'm at work, I like to listen to uh like as long form content, like podcasts or whatever. Just kind of just have it on there, and so I've heard that a lot of people do that. I'm not really sure if that's true. Let's see. Take a look at the chat here. Oh,
Right.
Brian
Right,
Little
take it
says he's
back.
writing a book. Writing a book while listening to a show. That sounds dangerous. Wait, are you not going to accidentally write whatever it is I'm talking about? If you hear someone talk in your ear, are you not writing those words? All right, so
I've
Rant
written
and
some
Chill is
work
like the
in
best
round
channel
before.
ever. Okay, Rant and Chill is Brian Little's favorite channel. Okay, now he's gonna write that in his book. Okay, he says yes. All right. So Alan Moj is back.
Hodge. Hodge.
Moj. Okay.
Hodge.
All right.
Right. So yeah, concerts. Um, Anything else that stands out is I think so. Mayu in person is better than she is on record. You just have to be there to appreciate that. Well, you've been there. She just is. You can feel everything she's putting into it. She's very human. It's not perfect, and that makes it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Haraguchi too. So the first live streams they did, she was very librarian. She put her glasses on the mic stand and things like that. And now she's just up there having a whale of a time.
Yeah.
It's really good to see. Um, the San Francisco concert was a bit marred, I think, by the fact it was too loud. So now, I mean, once again, if I used to listen to records, then I must be real old, right? So I'm using ear protection, the concert earplugs with the tune ports in them, and I can tell you they're brilliant. Also for riding motorcycles, if you ride motorcycles and you struggle with real earplugs or the noise, they work the same way. They're absolutely
Oh,
excellent.
I must be already going deaf because like I
Oh.
I probably should use ear protection, but I don't. But yeah, and you're right. It gets really loud. I was like, even at the ska bar, I was like, ooh, yeah.
If you get to the last sort of 4 or 5 songs and you literally can't really hear them anymore. Um, this is potentially age, but I think I've always really been like that. So they stopped that and they just you enjoy it more.
Okay.
I went to so with Rolling Courts. I took the wife to Rolling Courts. The wife's Korean, so she absolutely wanted to be there. There was no stopping that, and we were right next to what's her name, Irie's amp. Basically, I had my ear in it. If I hadn't had them, I wouldn't have enjoyed it at all. But as it was
It would have been
fantastic.
blasted. Yeah, yeah. Your ears would have been blasted out. Your eardrums
Yeah,
defeated,
totally.
destroyed, obliterated.
Yes, and the same was true with NEMOPHILA. It didn't need to be that loud. It really didn't. But and some other people complain about that. But I think if you were in the middle of the crowd, you were probably fine. You probably got a really good sound experience because it wasn't bad. It was just loud.
Oh, that was my. I guess that was my situation. Yeah, I was in the middle. The mosh was kind of behind me. They're trying to put me in it. I was not really like it was my first time seeing him. I wanted to actually enjoy it and just kind of just watch him play. I didn't really want to just mosh. So I was like, hey, just get off me. Get off me. Besides, you're spilling my beer. The other thing too.
Yeah,
But
have
yeah,
some
you're right.
respect,
When
man.
you see them live, like you really get to feel how they are you can see them and feel that they're giving it their all. Um, it's really hard to really explain, but uh,
Yeah, it totally is. And again, I mean, my last experience was Hannah BA, right? So it's still very fresh in my mind. Um,
they're very cool
they're not
too.
as good as them. they're just not as good musically as NEMOPHILA. I
Well,
don't think
yeah,
anyone would even slightly argue at that point, right? But again, with this, the same principle, they're on stage, they're up there, they're live, they're doing it, and they're good at what they do. That doesn't even come across on the concert videos. You just can't do that. You have to go and see them in
yeah.
person.
Like those fan cams, like the people recording, like it's like
Oh,
okay,
forget that.
that's not what it's really like. Like
No.
it is a cool experience, and you mentioned how they're not musically they're not as good as NEMOPHILA. That is true, but there is a different sound to it too. It's like it's like a different style. I don't. It's
Yeah, totally.
like I like how they combine. I don't know, like the sort of beats they use, the kind of like electronic elements that they include in their songs. Like I'm thinking of what is it? The I'll be your gal. That song. Oh,
Yeah,
what is-
yeah.
That one really
Be
stands
Your
out.
Girl early summer version. Yeah, loved that. That was a real treat. That
Yeah.
one. When I was in the queue at the whiskey for them, they had a film crew coming around from Japan asking people to give some impressions, and I gave away some wristbands there. So I think I put them on the group. Did NEMOPHILA, Bandmate, and Hanabier. Because the first time I went to see NEMOPHILA at the whiskey, somebody came around with wristbands. They were just giving them away for free, and it just basically said, NEMOPHILA, and it had the date on it, and the venue, I think. And I thought, well, that's cool. That's just a cool memento. That would be nice to do, I think. So I did some pretty nice ones, so you've seen the NEMOPHILA on the Bandmate one came out really, really well. Bandmate in Sacramento, and then at the I was at the whiskey trying to give them away to the Hanabier crowd, and there's their bouncers like, nope, not having any of that. Nope, I don't know what's in there. That looks like drugs to me. Nope, nope, leave me alone. But the film crew, the interpreter was like, what's this? And looked at it, and she's like, oh, that's really cool. And they did a sort of quick interview there, and they asked me what my overriding impression of that was, and it's like, well, Atsuri's a genius, but that's a totally different thing from what drives NEMOPHILA. NEMOPHILA, I think, are probably a bunch of geniuses.
Yeah, that's true. Like each in their own way. Yeah, I mean, you gotta think about their background. I mean, Saki had lots of experience through Mary's Blood, and the previous bands that she was in, with Destros and all that. Maya had some experience with Lipstick, but
So she won a competition for Lipstick, right?
I think so. There's
think she
also
won a
another story about Tamu. Tamu would cross paths with Maximum the Hormone. They were running some sort of promotional thing, and then Tamu was there, and the drummer from Maximum the Hormone noticed her after she said her name. Was like, you're the YouTube girl. You're the YouTube drummer, because Tommy would put a lot of YouTube drumming videos out there. And she was like, oh, you're my favorite drummer. Tommy said that to what's the name of the Maximum Hormone drummer? This said it to her, and it was like, they respected each other. They had a good moment. Let's see. Haraguchi's son, it's like the one band that she was in. And it's like kind of a small bit. Yeah. And I don't really know much about
heard of them. No.
Hazuki.
It's like one of those.
Is that what's her name? Yeah, Hazuki. She
Discoilia.
And she also plays with Lisa X, who's like a prodigy of her own right? That girl was playing since she was like 5 or something, and holy crap.
Yes.
And Hazuki can keep up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, well, this is it. It's like she's a mentor kind of thing. Like, okay, but I quite liked Discrelia. I kind of met them as they broke up, unfortunately, but I totally loved Ibuki's voice, because it was a mixture of Rami and I from Mary's Blood, and Narumi. Narumi. Oh my god. So there's only 2 girls that I would, in the whole thing, that I'd really pay any attention to as anything other than very talented musicians, and that would be Toki from Aulius and Narumi, who took Toki's place in Aulius for a little while.
Oh.
So that's how I got into
Well,
Lonesome Blue as well, because it was Narumi, right? Um, Incredibly talented, but because I was well into that, I knew Hazuki, and it always struck me that secretly Hazuki was at least as good as Narumi.
we have our favorites in that way, don't we? We have the ones that were like, we respect their talent, but they're just really beautiful. Okay, they're just
They,
stunning.
they just got something else. I mean, I don't think Narumi's particularly any more beautiful than Saki, for example, but she just got something about her. Maybe it's just because she has she's on the spectrum somewhere.
Hey, I'm a fan of the Wolfpack of Love Bites and
Yeah.
Miyako. Ooh,
Hmm.
God dang. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think she's ever
Well,
been.
you,
I don't
you
think she has.
see her.
Go ahead.
She was in a band before Love Bites, right? And there's a video out there of her dressed in black leather.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
21,
totally
21
different
grams,
vibe.
21G or something. Uh,
Yeah, very different vibe there.
Different vibe. Oh, and
But
speaking of different bands, there was a time where Saki was in, what was that band called? Was it called like Mix something? Where she,
yeah, mixed. But that was her. That was a kind of attempt at an idol band.
yeah, it was. And she was like she was wearing like a dress, like a schoolgirl thing or something. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool, man.
I've also seen her in videos where she looks like Bride of Chucky. So
Oh, wait, are you talking about the costume she dropped? How she just dressed up as the Chucky doll for Halloween?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man. I wonder if the other members will do something like that because it's kind of cool to do. Obviously, I don't know. I like horror movies. You used to run a channel all about horror and interview people who like write horror novels and stuff. Um, I went from that to now talk about Japanese music.
Not because they're just so similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's at least one person thinks they are. Yeah.
Um, let's see. Oh man, I think that might be about it though, because like we're almost on like 2 hours here. We covered quite a bit about NEMOPHILA here. Honestly, with these chill streams, if we could go on for as long as you want, but we have to wrap it up sometime. I think almost 2 hours is a good time.
Well, my dog just brought a ball over, so he's obviously had enough.
So, Alan, it was great having you on. It was great talking to you about NEMOPHILA, how you became a fan, how you followed them, not stalked them or anything. But how you followed them, and your thoughts on their covers, their originals, and their touring. I think you shared something about like earlier on about what's going to happen later on in the future as far as like what the next album's going to be like, and it'd be like, well, it's really anyone's guess, whatever they want to do. I guess I'm going to ask you for my last question here is are you going to see my Budokan? Are you going to go to Japan to see him there? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I would have dearly loved to. So there's a Finnish guy called Marco who's in our group, who's been around the world to see them now. I met him at the Whiskey and in Sacramento as well. He's just crazy for these girls. He's going. He got in the lottery. He got a ticket. He's going. I just knew I wasn't going to be able to make it, sadly. But I guess I'll be
Oh,
buying the video when it comes out.
yeah. Well, I'm going to be in that situation too because they are going to release that. They will record that. They have to
That will
record
be a
that.
Blu-ray. That definitely will.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
there's no way they wouldn't do that. They would have to be it would be dumb. Love Bites had a show recently. I had a bonus show in Tokyo, and I'm still pissed that they did not record that. And it looked like they didn't. People were saying they didn't see any like cameras to record it, and I'm like, that was your bonus show. Like, and you played songs that you've never played before live. Why would you not record that? What were you thinking? And I'm not saying that to the band. I'm blaming the management there. Okay, I'm like, what were you guys thinking? You set this stuff up. Come on, man.
So Audius do fan club shows, right? And they deliberately don't record them, and they do all sorts of things in there where it's not public. It's things that we'd like to see but just don't. I mean, Yeah,
Oh,
I can
Audios
take.
does that? Oh, that's cool. I did not. I
Yeah,
did not know that.
yeah, they do that. So I mean, it could have been a similar thing. It's like if you paid for this
Ah,
event, you come to this event, then it's
okay.
exclusive and
That's
unique for
cool.
you.
That's cool. They did stream it live, so everyone at the Wolfpack Discord or whatever, we're all watching it live. Like, yeah, it's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning over here, but we're watching it. You know, it was a good time.
That's why I didn't watch it. Right, got it.
All right. Well, I think.
Anyway, well, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
Hey, no problem, Alan. You take it easy and have a good one.
All right, you too. Have
All
a
right.
great rest of the evening.